I just taught you essentially how to take any project that is in here, to those of you who've made it or stuck around, um, and essentially vibe code it into whatever the hell you want. So you're gonna Google search WebGPU samples. You're gonna go to WebGPU samples conveniently on GitHub. This is what the repo should look like, and it should be by WebGPU. Now we're gonna get clone this repo. So if we click here, that allows us to copy the actual link so we can get clone it. But first we'll just scroll down a bit. There's not much information, but there is a website. And this website is essentially what you're about to put on your PC. So, yeah. So again, we're going to click code. We're going to click this copy to clipboard. Then we're going to head to our editor so we can actually clone the repo. All right, once you're in your IDE, I'm in cursor. You're going to open up your terminal. If you don't see your terminal, you can just press Control and then the tilde, I believe it's called. I'll show it on the screen. But anyway, here you want to get clone. And let me just get the command real fast. Paste. Now, obviously, you should have Git installed. If you don't have Git installed, you see this area right here. It'll tell you how to figure stuff like that out. So anyway, now that we have the WebGPU samples inside of our project, what we need to do is actually install it. Now that's fairly simple. You're going to create a new file. You're going to call that note.txt. And inside there, you're going to put npm ci. And we'll just put a little line over that. Install dependencies. And then, yeah, I had to spell that out. I'm a dumbass. Anyway, to start the actual server, so start server, it's going to be npm start. So, just as that says, that's exactly what we're going to do. But first, we have to head into the actual project. So if I got to go into it. So if I cd web GPU samples, I press tab. That's how I made it finish faster. So cd we, and then it's the only thing in that folder, so it finishes faster. So npm ci. Obviously, you should have Node installed. If you don't have Node installed, again, there's a little area over here where if you ask it questions, it'll let you know how to figure that stuff out, especially for your specific platform. All right, now we're gonna npm audit fix because we have an issue. Should be fine. Yep, we're good. I'm gonna clear just to make things a little easier to follow along with. So now that we're here, we want to start the actual server up. So I'm going to do npm start. So once it's here and it says waiting for changes, the server is going to be running. At that point, you should head over to localhost 8080, and that should bring up the actual server, which I will show you now. So once you actually head over to localhost 8080, this is what you'll be greeted with, which is like the ultimate WebGPU template. So this here is the files that compose the actual example that you're seeing. So this is the main TypeScript file, this is the vert shader, and this is the fragment shader. But there's a lot of examples. It's not just like a basic triangle. And I know a lot of you are probably going to be vibe coders, so this is like the perfect template, and I'll get to why in a second. So you see there's a lot of awesome shit in here. I'm just trying to hype you up, that's all. I'm hyping myself up too low key, but let's not talk about it. Anyway, let's get into it. So now that we're back in our editor, we want to start setting up our project. So we have this samples file here under source, so samples.ts. That's pretty much where we start to frame out the project. So let me zoom out a bit. I think it's too zoomed in. So these are all the files that are imported into the project, whereas this is how we're categorizing them inside the actual GUI. So I'm going to just take a moment to go to the actual GUI so you can see that. You can see we have basic graphics, we have WebGPU features, we have GPU demos, etc. If I go back to the editor, you can see those same titles, basic graphics, WebGPU features, etc. So the first thing that we're going to do is just literally create our own section. Let me just make sure that I'm respecting the rules here. Yeah. So cursor kind of just finished that for me. I pressed tab to finish it up. I'm going to change the name to my examples. Yeah, this has Anometer and Work Simulator. I'll leave that for now. And then I'm going to head back to the editor. You're going to notice it's not there. So refresh. And now you see my examples and those two items that we added. If we click them, they're actually part of our examples. And we can edit them as well. So what we want to do now is actually create like our own sample so that we can edit it but not break the foundation of the project. So we're going to go to sample here. I'm going to use the hello triangle because it's the most basic example, but feel free to use whichever one interests you. I'm going to copy it, paste it, and now I'm going to rename it to underscore the same exact name that it is. And what that does is it just brings it all the way to the top of the repo, which makes it a lot easier for me to, manage where it's at. So now that we've done that, we actually have to import the sample. So I'm going to go to the samples folder or sample file, just as we were. And if we look for hello triangle, we see that it exists here. And since the built-in example is called hello triangle, we can't call our example hello triangle. That's going to cause a problem. So I'm going to import my hello triangle. That works. And then I'm going to look for where this is being called so that I use it the same way. So you see their samples and they just add it to it. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to scroll down to where we added our area. And I'm going to add my hello triangle. And now I'm going to head back to the UI. I'm going to refresh the web page. And we see now I have my hello triangle. We get an error saying that it cannot find the hello triangle file. So let's see what that's about. So to fix this, all we're going to do is shut down our server. So I'm going to press Control C. And then I'm going to restart our server with npm start. Head back to the web page and refresh. And now our hello triangle example should be working. And now we can actually edit these files in our editor. So going to our hello triangle example, in my main.typescript, notice that it's importing these files. So just to show you a basic example of how we would go about this, because remember, you don't want to really mess with the foundational examples. I'm going to hold down Command or Alt. It's one of those keys. My keyboard is messed up, so trust me, it's just one of those keys. And that allows me to see where this actually goes. So see how I can highlight that. If I click that, it's going to show me where it's at. And if I double click that area, now I'm in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this file. And now I have the same file. Just for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to name it blue. And it is a fragment shader. Remember, this is a super basic tutorial just to get you up and running. So I'm not going to get into shaders and stuff. I'm just showing you how to set up your environment. But this is essentially a fragment shader that is telling, our app what color to make our triangle. Right now it's making it red. That's why the original file was called red frag. We just called it blue frag. So this is the red value, this is the green value, and this is the blue value. In other words, this is R, G, and B. And I believe this last 1.0 is the transparency, but don't hold me to that. Anyway, we're going to get rid of this, make it 0.0, and we are going to make this blue. So this should be RGB. Yep, this should be what we want. But now we have to go back to our TypeScript file. And inside our TypeScript file, we have our red frag. What I'm going to do is I'm going to comment that out and see how Cursor recommends our new fragment shader. Now, tip is to highlight this red frag. I'm going to copy it and then press Command F, and that's going to search for it on the page. And now I can see every place on the web page or in the document where it's being used. So I'm literally just going to go to that red frag and replace it with my blue frag. I'm saving it with Control S. You see my server refreshes. I'm going to head back to the web page. We're going to refresh. Go down to our hello triangle, and we see that it is now blue. So now you know how to edit files inside of your shaders or inside of your environments. But notice that this is still red frag, so it's not actually showing us our new file. How do we update that? Well, we're going to go right back into our editor again. Inside of our editor, inside our hello triangle example, again, we're going to go inside the meta, and notice the meta defines everything that we saw there. So I'm going to first start by, renaming it to my hello triangle just for the sake of clarity. Then here, where it says red frag, we're going to replace that with blue. Again, Control S, that we save and refresh our server. We're going to head back to our web page, refresh, go back to our example. Notice it did not update, neither of them. So what we want to do is go back to our environment or our development environment, go to our server, Control C to shut down the server again, npm start to run the server. Everything has refreshed. We head back to our web page, refresh the page, and now our example is updated with the name that we gave it. We now see insight into the actual file that we gave it. I wonder if we can edit this. I haven't actually, no, we can't. You can most likely code it so it allows you to, though. I would tell you that much. That'd be a fun challenge. But yeah, sorry if this seems uneventful. I just taught you essentially how to take any project that is in here, to those of you who've made it or stuck around, and essentially vibe code it into whatever the hell you want. And there are some pretty beefy examples in here. So even this, like, there's a lot going on here, a lot to present, honestly. There's also like some really cool solutions, things that can sort of elevate you as a developer. Even this giving you like a clear example of what's possible with WebGPU with all the lights that are in the scene. And again, all this is customizable, and not just customizable from, inside the editor, the way that I'm doing it right now. Sorry if this is killing the video footage, but also from, I'm going to head back into Cursor. Sorry, give me a moment. But also from in here, everything that we just did, that whole process that I just showed you where we copied hello triangle and we went to our, we copied hello triangle, we went to our samples.ts, we added our own section, we made sure that we imported our copy of hello triangle, gave it a unique name, and then we added it to our section. So with that basic premise, going back to the web page now, all of this now is at your disposal for you to adjust however you see fit. And not just that, Remember, we live in a post-AI world, so all of these examples and all this code that comprises them, well, when you go into Cursor, if you give me a moment to just switch again, I can very quickly just go to my hello triangle example and just pass it over to Cursor and start asking it questions about what I want it to do. So good luck on your WebGPU journey. I am very excited to see what all you make. I will be making a lot of tutorials. This is the foundational project to get you up to speed where you can comfortably set up your environments with me, and I can even hand over copies of maybe things that I do, and you can easily integrate them into yours.